This is Ravens Flock Talk Podcast, coming to you every week with their thoughts and opinions on each and every Ravens game. Tune in weekly and join the flock.
This is Ravens Flock Talk. I am your host, Brandon, and my dad joins me as my other host. We are in week 9 of the NFL season. It's gone by pretty fast, and this was a great bounce-back win at the bank against the Denver Broncos. Offense was perfect. I mean, everybody was clicking on all cylinders, and just a great overall win to get that stench after Cleveland. So, I'm very, very pleased as a fan.
Yeah, totally different vibe from last week. We finally didn't have a nail biter, and that's the other point. But fun to watch, really fun to watch this game for a change. You're not on pins and needles at the end of the game, could relax. ESPN on their website summed this up in 2 words, and it said, perfect game. I won't say it's perfect, but Lamar was perfect. And but it was just, I would say in 2 words, fun game.
Yeah, it was a very fun watch. Lamar, it's kind of crazy, 4 times perfect passer rating, and of all people, he ties Ben Roethlisberger. Only 3 in incompletions. Zay Flowers, I wanted to highlight him. He just unbelievable. I mean, he's gonna break franchise records in Baltimore for the highest paid receiver that we've had in franchise history, for sure. I mean, he is a true number 1 receiver, and only in his 2nd year. I was thinking, like, his comp, and I might get some flack for this, but honestly, like, I kind of relate him to Tyreek Hill, because when he gets the ball in the open field, even the commentator's like, here we go, right? Because he has the chance to take it to the crib every time with his speed. And you think about that with Tyreek Hill too. So I'm not saying he's as good as him or whatnot, but he's a threat like him and Waddle and all these speedsters in the league. So it's great to have him in a Ravens uniform.
I can't agree more with Zay. And he's tough. That's what I like about him. He's a tough runner, and not only has speed, he can break tackles, which he proved and showed this game. So
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and Todd, night and day from the Cleveland game. My biggest gripe last week from the offensive side, outside of the drops, which wasn't in his control, was not having Henry involved on a continuous basis. I felt like we were playing like we were down by 2 scores with the constant throwing. Now, it was open, right, because we were dropping the ball and just throwing away these moments and these chances, but you see the difference when Henry is constantly integrated in this offense, right? And it doesn't become one-dimensional. And I think he did a great job this week against a good defense, by the way.
Yeah.
The score didn't reflect that.
One of the top defenses.
Yeah, it didn't reflect that, but Denver's a good defense.
Well, sometimes we're hard on Todd, but in this game plan, he stuck to it. I loved the variety of plays he did. He got everybody involved. Lamar got everybody involved, but he was making the right calls at the right time. That's what I loved about Todd's play calling. They even mentioned it on the broadcast that, give him his props, because he almost knew what the defense was doing. So props to him.
I mean, honestly, if you told me before the game Justice Hill is going to be catching wheel routes. He's going to have screen passes, break it. I'll be like, okay, we're going to win that game. Because when he's doing that, man, that's when you know the offense is clicking, right? Because that's his biggest weapon is catching the ball in the backfield and sometimes down the field,
and
right?
Speaking of Hill, what surprised me in this game, Henry must be rubbing off on him, because he was breaking tackles this game.
Yeah.
He was being a real physical runner. Versus, he's known to be a pass receiver kind of player. So,
and it's like you just are waiting. What is it going to look like when Mitchell's back too? Utilizing Hill with screens and wheel routes, and then Mitchell could be your second back, right?
Yeah.
Right. And you could still hand the thought. I mean, Hill's been doing great, so you hand it off to him as well. So it's just. Man, we can just hit you so many different ways.
It's a great challenge to have.
Yeah, and the addition of Deontay Johnson. Even though I didn't expect him to do much this game, just coming to the team, but It remains to be seen what he can bring to this team and how we're going to involve him.
Yeah, agreed.
I want to touch on this point too. It's always tough for a rookie quarterback to come into Baltimore and win. I remember, I think it was Kyler Murray's first away game his rookie year. I think it was against us week 2, and it was our home opener that year. And man, we just obliterated him. Right? It's tough for rookie quarterbacks, but Bo Nix held his own. I mean, stat wise, it didn't look too pretty, but he was, running around outside the pocket. He was making us work. And if he gets the right weapons, Denver's in a good position. The future looks bright.
Yeah, you gave me a little bio on him before the game, Brandon, and you were absolutely correct that he has a lot of speed. He has deceiving speed. He's tough. He's smart. He made a lot of plays for him, and his score doesn't reflect that.
Yeah.
Some of that was Sean Payton's play calling on 4th down and not making it, not making a first down, which
by inches. That first one, yeah.
True, but nonetheless, he didn't kick the field goal either in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So I mean, the score really didn't reflect things, but in the second half is when we just took off. I mean, it was unbelievable in the third quarter.
Yeah.
The points that we put up on the board. So. But I agree. This they got a bright future with him.
They do. I mean, my prediction. I want to touch on something you just said. My prediction going into the draft was like, I thought Bo Nix was going to be the best quarterback in this class, mainly due to where he was going. Because a lot of these top guys, number 1, second pick, that they're going to the bottom of the bottom teams. And that rubs off on you. That's hard to win in New York or Jacksonville, in this case, Chicago and Washington. But Jaden Daniels obviously has proven me wrong, But I think, if you get some playmakers around Bo Nix, Denver looks good. And they're finally like turning the page with young quarterbacks. Because I remember when they had Flacco and Russell Wilson, that whole debacle. But the one thing that you said I want to touch on is I was shocked that Sean Payton didn't kick the field goal when it was 4th and goal. Now, it paid off because the Philly special and Bo Nix catches it. But it's like, I was like, wow. I mean, we got all the momentum. It's 10-0. Just make it 10-3, right? And your defense is good. Bank on it to keep you in the game, right? And just be down 1 score. So it paid off, but I don't know what happened after that. I mean, they didn't score.
They didn't score. That was the only score.
That was it.
And that was close, and that was all, Bo making a play on that. So, props to him. But that play calling, it was questionable. And if they didn't make that, then
I know.
All the momentum is in our favor.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they would have done.
I guess he was like, again, it paid off, but if it didn't, I guess he was thinking, well, they have to go to length of the field anyway, right? And I have a good defense. But that's why I was just thinking, take your 3 with a rookie quarterback in Baltimore,
Which, by the way, we went the length of the field multiple times on some of these drives, especially coming out of halftime. So.
And that play, really quick, I mean, Marcus Williams couldn't have done anything in that situation, I feel like. But if you want to play that really epitomizes the secondary this year, it's the quarterback catching the ball for a touchdown, you know, of all things. But again, I mean, Marcus couldn't have done anything in that situation, but it was like, wow. I just kind of chuckled when that happened. You couldn't do anything, if you're a defensive player, but I was like, I never thought that was going to be the outcome of the play.
And that was early in the game, so you didn't know what was going to happen after that.
Yeah.
But, trickery, so. But I want to highlight Henry. I want to talk a little bit about him and what an unbelievable game he had. And, I mean, this guy, like Brandon was saying, if Todd keeps him involved throughout the game, no telling what can happen. I mean, he hit 100 yards in the game. Some of his stats, 100 yards on the game. He's in his career, he's over 10,000, 100 touchdown.
Yep, he's got 101 touchdowns now, and he had 2 touchdowns this game.
And he already has 1,000 yards this season.
Yeah.
In week 9.
And so a couple weeks ago, they were saying, could this be a 2,000-yard season for him?
Right, exactly. And, but looking at him running, and it's just, I'm just so happy he's a Raven. I mean, he was breaking tackles on those touchdowns.
Yeah.
He was daring people to tackle him. And I love that play when he runs on the outside because no corner wants to mess with him.
Yeah.
And one of those touchdown runs, the cornerback, he actually went out of bounds on purpose because you don't want this freight train coming at you.
Took a business
decision.
decision.
A good business decision, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, like
right.
his first touchdown, he runs into, I think it might have been Makari or one of the offensive line, bounces off of him. And the second one, right out of half, like, it was like majority runs, a little bit of Lamar scrambling, and he was just making guys miss left and right, and capped it off with the touchdown at the end.
I mean, once we're in the red zone, especially around the 10-yard line, he will not be denied.
Yeah.
I didn't really know that. I mean, we watched him in Tennessee do things like this, but on a regular basis now, as a Raven, and you get to watch him week after week, he is something else. He is something a force to be reckoned with.
When we acquired him, it wasn't just Ravens fans, but just the league in general was like, well, does he still have enough juice, something left in the tank, right? And you were saying, you were thinking, okay, we could probably see spurts of it, but this is week in, week out, right? That you're seeing. It's almost like he's in his prime still. So it's remarkable to see.
And the other thing I just want to bring up with him is not only his talent on the field, but this man is a professional. On and off the field. I saw his press conference after. He gives everybody else credit. He gives Lamar his props all the time. And his demeanor and his professionalism is what a Raven should be and is.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Only other thing, like on the defensive side, still the secondary was struggling this game. Brandon Stevens, again, another tough game. It begs the question, and I was thinking, like, are they intentionally picking on him, right? Now, the Cleveland game and now this game, it's like, because you don't see Wiggins getting picked on like that. You don't see Marlon getting picked on as much in the slot. And I was just thinking, like, are they intentionally trying to target him? I don't know, but it just seems like it because he's really struggling this year.
And the thing about it, he's on an island by himself. He's going one-on-one with a lot of these receivers, right? So he's being exposed a little bit, you know. And but he had a couple good plays at the end of the game. He had one nice knockdown.
He had the pass interference called on him because he didn't. I think he turned his head, but it might have been too late at the time. It was similar to the Devontae Adams in Week 2 when he was on the Raiders. Yeah. And that was, to me, that definitely wasn't a pass interference because they both were looking, but. Yeah, man, I hope he can turn it around because it just seems like he's just getting targeted at this point.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, I'd like to see him turn his head back around more quicker and just not play the receiver. So, that's and then I'll bring up Kyle Hamilton on the defensive side. Again, another great game. He had the most tackles in this game. He had some key tackles, I remember.
Nice batted down ball.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He almost got that batted down ball for interception for a touchdown like he did in one of the games.
It was against Cleveland.
Cleveland, he did
last
that
year, yeah, on Watson, right in the beginning of the game.
And but I think beside Roquan, he's the best tackler on the team. And I looked up some stats on him. And Roquan's the only one that has more tackles than Kyle. He's the second best tackler on the team. And actually, he has more tackles than Roquan, but Roquan has more solo tackles than him. And,
with Kyle, because of the lack of pass rush, sometimes you kind of need him on the line, trying to rush, kind of, confuse the offensive line a bit and put some pressure on them. But the pass rush was really non-existent this game.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. We got bailed out a couple times when Bo Nix ran in for a touchdown. They had a holding call, but I said Bo Nix played well because I didn't feel like he was under pressure all that much this game.
Yeah, they the pocket, he was running right down the middle when the pocket collapsed. And so
we forced him out of the pocket a few times, but there was a lot of times where, we brought the house and he's still sitting back there pretty, you know?
Yeah.
One of the Ravens pages I follow was like kind of making a meme of it. It was like when you rush 6 and this is the result, and he's just back there like he's having a campfire. So it was like, wow, like that's like, oof. That's scary as a fan, right?
Yeah, he could have taken a nap back there sometimes. I mean, it just seemed forever that they got pressure on him. But toward the end of the game, to their credit, they started getting pressure on him because he had to pass, and they knew that.
They had their moments on defense, right?
Yeah.
One of the graphics that popped up was like Ravens #1 on rush defense and dead last in pass defense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a pendulum, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow. I mean, in all my years of being a fan, I've never seen that with Ravens defense.
Yeah.
It's not even like you're in the middle of the pack. You're dead last in the secondary, but your first and run defenses, we always been good against the run, right?
Right.
So it's like it's like I would be shocked. The deadline is November 5th. I would be shocked if EDC doesn't make another move, if he doesn't get a pass rusher or another secondary player.
Right. And Nate Wiggins, I often told Brandon during the game, where is he? Well, that's a good thing. They're not targeting him.
Yeah.
And that's a very good thing on a corner. When you don't hear his name, and if they get an interception, even more, icing on the cake. But so I'm very impressed with Nate.
And we finally got one right in the beginning of the game with our Darius Washington picking it off.
And he's a rookie, so yeah. And Brandon, we're not mentioning Lamar because we don't have to. I mean, he had a perfect game.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it in the beginning, but it's like you expect it from him now, right?
Yeah.
These performances now, and he expects it from himself. Mm-hmm. Only thing that he wants now is a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So these game balls, these player of the weeks, player of the months, to him, it's like been there, done it.
Right.
And
to his credit, I think right now it's just so evident that he's the leader. And that's what he's doing now. He doesn't need any acclimates. He's the leader of the team, and everybody knows it, and everybody follows him. So, yeah, it's good to have a great captain like that. A good general.
Yeah. Great to have a nice win that you don't have to sweat it out as usual. No injuries. No major injuries as we've seen so far. And short week now, heading in another home game. I believe so. Yeah, home game against Cincinnati. Bringing out the new unis, right? Prime time on Amazon, and it should be a good one. If we had beat Cleveland, I really think Cincinnati's chances are just gone. But they kept alive. They beat the Raiders this week, and we need to put the nail in the coffin against them again. So it's going to be a good game. It really is.
Yeah, this one for sure will be close.
Yeah, I mean, after the week. What was that? Whenever we played them, I think it was week 3 or so. I mean, that was the most exhilarating game this year that we've had. Just the back and forth, the missed field goals, Lamar fumbling it, and then Henry breaking it out at the very end. So
what feels weird is to have the Ravens, when you talk about them, is the offense. Now they're an offensive team versus a defense. So we score more points than them, we win the game, right?
Yeah.
And that was never usually the case with the Ravens. So, yeah, you got to flip the script and just hope the defense can hold them to a certain amount of points as we keep scoring.
I got to get used to that as a fan because I never liked that style of football where you had no faith in your defense.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying our defense is god awful, but I'm saying the secondary, we're dead last, right? And so every time they drop back, you're thinking it's going to be a completion one way or another. And this whole we have to outscore them now. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, granted, Bo Nix is a rookie. Let's see how we do against Burrow because he put up 5 touchdowns on us last time.
I know.
Right?
And the middle of the field is still a question mark for us. So, hey, but
it's going to be an entertaining game
nonetheless.
Yeah. Nonetheless, and you'll be hearing from us pretty soon on this short week again when we report on that game. But, this was a great win, and Lamar is just phenomenal. Him and Henry. We say it week in and week out. And honestly, throw in Zay Flowers in there too. He has these weeks where it's just like, wow, it's explosive. There's sometimes he's not really involved, but when he is, it's like a Hall of Fame type game, right?
Yeah.
So, That's all I have to say. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, not really. I'm just so happy to have key players like this because it's so much fun to watch. And I always say to Brandon, I'm glad that we like the Ravens, versus another team that's like a Carolina or Jacksonville now.
We're fortunate and spoiled, and we criticize them a lot because we just know their potential.
Our expectations are high,
so we know their potential, and these are prime, key years, these window years to get a bowl, to get a Super Bowl with this amount of talent, So that's all we have to say. Again, short week. You'll be hearing from us soon, and let's hope we can get a W in the new alternative helmet uniforms. It'll be great to see prime time against a division rival. So tune in soon, and let's hope for another Ravens W.